Hello, everyone. It is Rizolka and it is Dave. I'm not calling him the Wanderer for some reason, even though that is the name he uses online.
That's fine. Everyone knows. Everyone knows me.
At this point, probably yes, except for the people that are
Yeah.
watching us for the first time. If you were with us last week, and I don't know why you were, no. If you were with us last week, we went through designing a simple adventure game, and we will be continuing that. Just as a brief overview of what this overall session is, it will be
hmm
making placeholder art, starting our projects in AGS, and then after doing a little bit of basics, we're then actually going to go back to doing art, making something a little bit more, fun. So, because I feel like, like, we're not just going to make this, like, this is how you make it. It's also going to be like, how are you going to make the assets for it? So, we've got to have a little bit of light and color and a little bit of
Hell
coding.
yeah.
So, to recap, I gave you all homework last week.
And
I
we're
don't know
going to
how
quiz
you
you all
did.
on it.
Well, no, actually, I was going to say the homework really is, as it should be in any type of homework. It is specifically for you because it's going to make what we're doing today easier.
Hmm?
So, because today we're going to be dealing with rooms. Like, we will do a very basic, like character sprite, and we will look at some basic walk cycle stuff, but really we're going to do that properly next week when we start talking about other types of animations, because it's kind of more to do with that. But we will make a start on that. But so the homework for last week was work out your basic plot, like, like what are the type of things that you are going to need in your scene, to finish your puzzles, and it kind of like help you work out, like, you might already be getting in your mind what your room looks like. So it's kind of like it'll help you to be like, well, this is going to go here and that is going to go there. So when we are actually doing our placeholder, you'll actually be able to place things around. Now, the other thing that I did, which was a fun thing, but is something that you should think about if you are going to try and place it in there, was flavor. Now, Dave, would you like to tell us about your flavor?
Okay. So, as we know, my protagonist is Davis Malkman, the lactation consultant. Oh, I just thought of something brilliant. Okay, we'll get back to that. Anyway,
Yeah.
so my flavor is he starts with a breast pump in his inventory. And I thought it'd be funny if you use it on Robin's wife. She gives you a ghost slap and does like a shriek, like
Ooh.
a what's that? Like a
Like a
what are
banshee
those
whale?
ghosts called? A banshee whale. That's the one, like a banshee whale. And also, if you use it on Robin, um, I thought maybe you could make a joke about the lactation thing by saying elactation, like ectoplasm.
Excellent, excellent. So my story was Edgar, who is an artist who really wants to get to his favorite table at a
hmm
cafe. And I'd already, in my mind, had said that this was Paris, Illinois, which is not the real
hmm
Paris, but this was
hmm
Edgar Degas, except not Edgar Degas, Edgar Degas.
Very nice.
And so my flavor that I literally came up with today was, one thing, he's
hmm
an artist, so he's going to be carrying around a portfolio. So I'm going to get him to do like really shitty sketches of the other patrons in the cafe, because looking
Hell
up at
yeah.
some of Edgar's art, like the actual Edgar Degas work, was that he did have, like, I've been drawing patrons at a cafe. So
Very good.
shitty art for him, but also because he's Degas man, he's going to have a fart in his inventory. He will be able to fart on people.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. Okay.
Amazing. That is my
Well,
flavor. It kind of
well.
gives me ideas of a name for the actual game, of either
mhm,
Degas Man
I like that.
or he Degas. And probably my
Uh,
secret ending is that he just farts enough that everyone leaves the cafe.
that could work. So if you use fart on something like X amount of times, everyone just gets up and leaves.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
But anyway, what we're going to talk about is actually the most boring thing imaginable at the moment. We're going to talk about good project management, because I think it's never too early to do good project management when it comes to your computer, like, okay, you're about to see a lot of crazy stuff because I have a crazy setup for my PC. Dave is not going to be able to see it, unfortunately. It is on the stream. Please ignore the fact that my C drive is quite full. I need to clean that out. But I also have like a shit ton of drives. I think it's something like, I think we're getting close to 12 gigabytes, not gigabytes, terabytes.
Next.
I do a lot of 3D stuff, so I get around quite a bit.
That'll take you some space up for sure.
Yeah, so this is like my naming system. Like technically, I did used to have a good system where it was kind of like this drive does this and this drive does that. Franklin Mosley is my games drive, which is why he's almost always full. As in like, like Steam games, GOG games, any sort of games, point and click games, hidden object games. Grace Nakamura, of course, these are all Gabriel Knight names. She used to be my media drive. Now she's kind of a mixture of things. And then Gerda is my creative drive, although it's kind of now just become creative / overflow. And I bought a new drive to decide to eventually sort things out. Anyway, I generally have a folder in here called Game Dev, which I do.
Mm-hmm.
And because this is new, since I haven't made a game since I first got this drive, it just has test in it. But instead, we're going to open up a new file. I'm just going to call it Edgar Degas for the moment, and with proper capitalization.
Very nice.
Except Edgar Degas. So we now have our file system. Any sort of like, concept art that we want to do, we're going to put it in here. It's going to be a good place to dump everything. And yeah, so that's pretty much that. Just dump stuff in there. And then when it comes to like, we actually want to do AGS stuff, we'll be putting it in there as well. But we'll also be putting stuff like, like actually like when we start making sprites properly, we'll actually have proper folders in it that will like be like sprites assets, background assets. But at the moment, it was just kind of like, this is our first step. We are making a folder. Congratulations, you made a folder, kids. If you're working on a Mac, I hope you know how to do that without me, because I don't know how.
Neither do I.
I mean, I do kind of, but meh. Anyway, as you can see, we have paint. So we're making placeholder art to begin with. And Paint is a very good place to start with your placeholder art if you're not using another program. Technically, you can use Paint for this entire experience. It will not be a comfortable experience, but it will be a possible experience. Here we go. Is coming up with an idea of what your art looks like. I know that we are just talking about placeholder art, but it is kind of an important thing because it kind of helps you work out what your room and your area looks like when you start thinking about colors. So I had a quick little Google today of artworks that Edgar Degas made. So as you can see, he has a very particular art palette. If this will decide to continue loading on a different screen, of course it does. I'm afraid you'll just have to look at the actual stream itself, Dave, for this. But yeah, so as you can see, like he's got lines, but kind of ill-defined lines within stronger lines. And he's got a very particular like dark versus light. Colors are a bit desaturated. People are more like, shapes with some extra features on them. So some of these are a bit more detailed than not. Obviously from different times of his things. He drew a lot of ballerinas, as you can see.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, it was the majority of his work. And the interesting thing about Degas, actually, while we're quickly talking about him, was he didn't just paint ballerinas while they were dancing, because, ballerinas while they're dancing are beautiful. But he also painted, like, the behind-the-scenes stuff, or them, stretching, like, like the stuff of their actual life, which I think is always interesting.
That is interesting.
Now, I also have this picture of a general cafe, which happens to be in Paris, Illinois. This is part of my inspiration of what the actual room looks like. More Degas, but I like this one because this one's actually a layout of a room so that you can kind of see the way that the lights, meet at the edges of the room and all that. Same with this one.
I really like that one.
Yeah, this is more. This is another cafe in Paris, Illinois. Because again, I like that, like the boards of like what the menu items are with the screen.
It's very Twin Peaksy.
Oh yeah, and then this is an outside of a coffee restaurant in Paris, Illinois. More Degas.
Oh, yeah.
And here's a Degas self-portrait. So this is actually going to help me make my main character, because not that I'm going to directly copy from him, but he has a very particular shaped face, doesn't he?
He does.
And
I like the beard.
Yeah, I can. Or there's also versions without the beard, but I kind of like the idea of him being like kind of like a hipster with like a slightly not like big nose, but like a long nose. And when I'm not talking long outwards, I'm talking long down, because as you can see, that is mostly a downwards slope of the face. But like in more like up-to-date hipster clothes. So, and as you can see, we've got very good color palette matching. So, I don't know if you've delved at all with that, but that is something that's probably... Have you thought at all what your game actually looks like in terms of feel?
Not really yet. But that's because I can't really draw, so I'm just going to play that by ear, I think.
Yeah, well, I think that, like, because the placeholder art, you'll definitely be able to do. I think, like, bringing out stuff like that and, like, trying to make, like, if you want, I can sit down with you and we can have a look at that and I can tell you what I notice about it. Not that, again, with it being, like, art is subjective, but it's about what you take away from it. But as, like, like, when I was talking about, like, like, he's got, like, like, when it's, like, he's got defined lines, but not really defined shapes within those lines. It's kind of like that sort of thing, like how the transition, it's if you want to go derivative. Yeah. Otherwise, let's just paint whatever you can.
All right. We'll see how we go.
Worst comes to worst, you can get a color palette out of something that you admire and go with it. The next thing that we need to talk about is dimensions of this background for our placeholder. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about the original way of doing DOS, where the dimensions of it is kind of weird, where like your width is like 320 and your height is only 200. Now that is minuscule on our screens now, so we're going to bump that up, but we're going to bump it up by in proportion. So let's say 3 times, because again, like the art that we're going to do is basically just going to be the same that we would have painted on a small thing, but on a bigger scale. We're not expecting it to be art. So 320 times 3, 960 by 600. So the dimensions that we're working with, because you can do just 2 times. I'm just doing 3 because I kind of want it to take up most of a modern screen. I still want to go with that kind of original adventure game DOS feeling, so that's why we are going with the Sierra. Like specifically, Allura Bow 2 was in 200 by 320. I've done the wrong way around. 320 by 200. I could be talking out of my ass, but I'm pretty sure that the standard AGS when it first opens up and you suggest it, it goes that 300 by 200. Either way, that's what the scale that we're working to for this. There is no correct way, especially in these days. If you find a shape that you like, go with it. Say on to ye, I say. I have no idea what that just said. Anyway, okay, so since we've done that, we are going to go into paint and resize before we actually do anything. So now we are on 960 by 600. Ooh. Turn off maintains that. By 600. What's wrong? What? Oh, that's percentage, that's why. Boo. Do what I meant to do. Don't do what I say. So that's the sort of dimensions that you'd be looking at for if you're not going to have an elongated stretchy room. I am going to have an elongated stretchy room, which is like a panable room. So like as we walk around, it will move left to right.
I was thinking that too for my one, but not a huge amount of scrolling.
So I'm going to go probably like half an extra screen because I know I do need space. So 960 divided by 2 because I want it to be an extra half. So 480 plus 960. My room is going to be 1440. But my camera, it's going to be 960.
Cool.
So I'm going to come back in here, change my pixels, and say 1440. No, that moved it in proportion. Make sure you switch off aspect ratio, people, if you're going to be using Paint. If you're using something like Sprite or Photoshop, it generally remembers your things, but Paint is stupid. Let that be a lesson for the world. Okay, excellent. Now, the basic structure of a room. Now, if you're going outside, I can't help you. No, if you're going outside, and you're going to be outside of buildings, similar things that I'm about to suggest is going to be the same, but it's kind of going to be the inverse. So, you know, like how when you do art, yes, no, maybe, when they teach you art, they teach you how to do a box. Hopefully better than this. And like, you know, usually if they're teaching you 3D in like schools, they again teach you how to do it better than this. God damn it. I don't use Paint usually, so this is why I'm having issues with this. So, you know, like you do the one box connected to another to make a thing. This is going to be the most stupid way of doing it because, again, I don't usually use this program, so things are not connected up the way that they should be. Anyway.
I mean, it's functional.
Yes. Again, not the most perfect art. If I was doing this with my drawing tablet, which I probably should be, as we will be moving to eventually when I go to Sprite, this would actually be lining up. This looks stupid because I've done it this way. Anyway, basically by doing this, what I want to say by this is it's kind of the same thing, but instead you don't draw that one there. Instead, in this instance,
right,
it goes out at the same angle as your other side. You can, so if you're doing this in Sprite or Photoshop, I recommend doing this in different layers so that you can get rid of the lines that you don't need. But it's more about the theory of it. So, yeah. Well, looky, you have the basic insides of a room.
We got a roomy room. Look at that.
We've got a roomy room. This is also not how roomy room is going to look like in the moment, but we're talking theories, and then I'm going to come through and do it properly. So now that we have done this, I'm hoping that the shortcut for this is exactly... Oh, actually, no, I've got bandy arms. So if you've drawn out your room very basically, it doesn't matter what size you've done it to, because again, this is your placeholder art. You can come through in Paint and actually just make it as biggy as you need it.
Look at that.
You don't have to worry about it looking like shit, because you're about to redraw over your lines.
Mm-hmm.
You can also make the decision of if you want to have it going into infinity, as in like, you know, you can't see the top of the room, you can't see the edges of the room, you can just see the internal walls.
The internals?
Yes. And again with this, you might go into and go like, yeah, I like this, and I know that it's in perspective, but these walls are a bit wide. What you can do, because again, we are just doing like little beginning placeholds. You can actually just grab this section here. As long as you have both sides of your wall, you can re-oomph this, and it will keep the angles of your wall, and then you can... Oh, what the...
I thought you were doing that on purpose for a minute then. I was like,
yeah, so did I. For a second there, I was like, I'm doing something amazing. What the? Okay, so Paint is weird. Ooh. Is that actually part of the room now? Okay, so apparently some weird things happen in Paint. Okay, so that one, I've got that side of the wall done. I can do the same thing over here. I kind of want it. I kind of want my walls to slightly match. I think the word is Paint isn't only if you don't have anything else. I just really wanted to show if you had something absolutely free. You know what? There's also GIMP. GIMP is a fine tool. I don't like it, but that's... Yes.
GIMP to me, it can do a lot. It's pretty powerful, but it's so just...
It's not user-friendly.
No, not at all. It's user mean.
It
It
is.
will mock you and push you over and take your lunch money.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I don't like GIMP. I mean, also the fact that I was trained on Photoshop and, all hail the Photoshop. But the Photoshop is expensive. I understand why people would be like, no, I don't want to use the Photoshops. And be like, I want a cheaper alternative. And there are cheaper alternatives out there. It's just that, for examples, I think I do want to see my walls a little bit. But I think I want them to go right to the edge. I don't mind seeing a bit at the bottom, a bit at the top. Perfect. Okay, I need a door out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to come in here with my quick draw tool. And, wow, that is very small compared to my... You know what? I'm just going to do it with the box. So
There we go.
This is my door out. Now, I've already decided when I made a sketch of this earlier that I have a... no, I need the other tool. I need this. I have a bench here that the waitress is going to be behind. I'm currently just drawing out what the ground looks like in that area, so that I can then draw up. Usually, if I was using like Photoshop or something like that, I would be having another layer that was my different guides, and then I would get rid of my guides. But because I am not doing that, I'm in Paint. This looks like a travesty. So there's going to be a woman sitting here. Beautiful! As in, it looks terrible.
Looks amazing. Love it.
Let me actually need a front bit for my thing here. So she's going to be standing in there. Again, a placeholder art can look as shit as possible. As long as you can see it in your head what you're actually drawn. 100%. Now, yeah. I know I am going to have a lady here. Oh, I'm going to have a lady here, if I can redo that bit. Maybe if I hit enter, it's going to... No, okay. Just hit that, okay. Brushes. Apparently there are brushes in here.
Many brushes.
Okay, good. Okay. I know I'm going to have a lady here. I'm just going to basically shape her here. And just be like... Blah, 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 blah.
It's a red ghost.
Yes. Again, placeholder art can be shit. You can draw literally stickmen in this point. So she's going to be standing here. I need some tables. So we need our shambles of a table, because you remember the best table has been fucked up. We're going to be very sad that our table has been destroyed. Although there might be a joke in the gas man unfortunately fucked it up.
Gas man.
The gas man! Yeah, he's the gas man.
So I'm already thinking what my... I'm looking at what you're drawing and I'm picturing in my head, but it's not going to look like that in my head. But anyway. I mean, it's not going to look as good as it does in my head, but...
It never does.
I'm thinking... because you said color palette of something you admire, right?
Yeah.
You want to take a guess?
Seventh guess?
Yeah. So I'm thinking the wallpaper is dark purple and light purple. And the furniture is like brown and some blacks in there.
Okay, so these are my 3 other tables. Again,
Lovely.
These are placeholders, so we don't need to worry about them looking shit. We already know that they do. Now, this table here, I'm just going to draw some legs on it so it's...
Tably.
A table. Same with this one.
It's a table.
It's a table. So I need to have a couple more people. So this one here, I think, is going to be the one with the food. Plates and all that are still here. Can I make that bigger? Yes, I can. So this is my dirty plate table.
Love it. Oh man, they're very dirty.
Oh, so very dirty. And here's a turd for good measure.
Love it.
Okay, and then this one here is going to be another lady. This is the croissant lady. Actually, I've just realized everyone in this cafe is a woman. So I think my person behind the desk is now a man.
The made a D dude.
Yeah.
Little
He's just
tux
going to
on.
be like, yeah, I'm a waiter. What do you want? So I'm just going to put a golden C on her because she wants a croissant. This is my arguing, bickering couple.
With the books.
Yes. Now, that is a very good point that you've brought up. I need to have a book section. So, do you remember back in the old days where you had a what's it called? At places that they would have like a little reading library.
Oh yeah, we still have those around here. There's
Yes.
one near my parents' house.
Or like what's it called? I'm thinking about like the Pancake Parlor, which is a pancake restaurant that I used to that I love going to when I can. But the one where I grew up, they don't do it anymore, I don't think. But they had this one of the booths right at the entrance had like an extra rack on it, and it actually had books. So like there was some books for children, and then there was like some magazines for adults. So. A cafe with a library in it? You mean Borders? Actually, there was another place that I went to called Volumes. That I found one of. It was literally a bookshop inside a restaurant. Like it was an upper class restaurant with a bookshop in it. So
yeah, we've got that too. It's called the Book Station up here.
Nice. Now I've already made the decision that I'm actually going to have a second room in mine. We won't be going through doing the placeholder out of that, but it will be outside, and that is where my tea cloth will be. Not my tea. You know, the thing that I was going to use for my dirty thing. And I had a thought about that. Rather than trying to do a reverse rip out, I want to also give them the option of putting it over the top and being like, nothing's wrong, everything's fine. So this is my lovely art. I'm gonna save this into my the folder that we made, which is in game development and BG placeholder. Now, we are closing Paint. We are never coming to Paint ever again. This was a horrible experience for me.
No stars on Yelp.
No. And we're going to open up AGS for the first time.
Oh.
Excellent. We are going to start a new game.
Let's do it.
So, we have a couple of templates. They even have a template that is Beneath a Still Sky, which I think is actually the one that we want.
I think that's the one we said, yeah.
Yeah, because it's left to do right to look.
They got Tumbleweed in there now. That's new since I opened
That is
AGS
cute.
last.
Like, yeah, I haven't been in here for a while. Actually, I'm just going to confirm that the what they actually BAS AGS controls template. Actually, I should write. That's pretty much. If you're not sure what anything is, if you just type in what the template is and AGS, there's an AGS manual that actually tells you what all those things do. So, okay. Template was previously known as the lightweight BAS stub, script nodule, blah, blah, blah. 2-click handler. In default mode, left click will do things, right click will look at things. In reverse mode, it will be the other way around. So that is exactly what we're looking for.
I think so.
But yes, we want the BAS controls.
Cool.
Now, what do you want this game to be called? This is the name that will be the title of the window. So, what do you think is better? Do you reckon Degas Man or he's Degas?
The Gas Man for sure.
The Gas Man. And I'm just going to change that because I do not want to save it to OneDrive. I mean, like, what's it called?
The Gas Man in Restaurant Land.
Okay, yep, you got it. You got the name. But I was going to say, like, what's it called?
Shit.
With OneDrive, if you've
So
got
good.
multiple computers and you want to work it on both, OneDrive is actually quite excellent for sharing that shit. But because I will only really be working on this computer, I'm not going to worry about it. Game development. Game dev. Get to gas. So that's the folder that... actually, I'm also going to do AGS. To say that that's where all my AGS files are.
Cool.
The Gas Man in Restaurant Land, or it's kind of more cafe?
Land. Cafe Land. In Cafe Land.
Or in Paris.
The Gas Man in Paris.
In Paris. Like, it's like, what, Emily in Paris.
I was going for, like, Brexit Man. That's what made Lucy's comment made me.
Yes. And I have seen Trolls' video on that, and I know that he's made several games with Torpedo Bear. I was in one.
This is going to be just like that, except the one I make is going to be much worse.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the way I see it's like, people explain things in different ways. I'm not sure how much Trolls went into design, so I can't remember. I do remember seeing it. And yeah, I use OneDrive for work as well. I love it. Anyway, we have finally made a new game in AGS. Congratulations, we're done.
We've taken
Not quite.
a step.
Okay, so the first thing that I generally do is I will go into general settings, and I will have a look through these, and, like, basically if something, I will generally leave a lot of things standard because I don't know if I want to change anything yet. But if you're going through it and you go like, well, I definitely don't want that, you can do it now. Let's see. Character movement. Automatically move the character in walk mode. Yeah, sure. Walk to hotspots in look mode. You know how I feel about characters walking across the screen. So I'm going to leave that as false. He's going to stay in spot. Characters turn before walking. Yeah, it's a nice touch. Characters turn to face direction. It says false, but I'm going to make that one true. Because I want him to... If he's not going to walk up to a thing, I want him to at least look in the direction that it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Scale movement scene with rooms mask resolution. I mean, so if you click on any of these, it gives you a little bit more extra information. I would just leave it as is. It's, as it says, it's for backwards compatibility. So unless you actually physically, like, if you read that and go, yes, I do need that, I would leave it off. Yeah, we want to make it for Windows. Does it actually... What are the options? Oh, you can also do Linux now. Nice. Compress Sprite file. You can compress things to make the file size smaller, but it will also make it more difficult for it to open, so it will take longer, so the performance will drag. Again, if you're getting to that point, the thing that we're making is going to be small and petite, so it will not cause enough of a drag to kill the entire engine. So I would not bother with compressing it for us. Enable debug mode. Okay. We will get to that later. Just ignore that for now. Again, you can ignore that. Allow speech to be skipped by which events? Mouse, which means on click or on keyboard tap, or timer. That's generally how you want it. There is a couple of other options, like you don't want them to skip, which I think is a crime.
That is a crime.
I mean, like, what's it called? I think when it comes to timer, because, like, the thing that I know that a lot of people have is that, they're waiting for the timer to flip over, and they click just as it flips over, so then they miss the next line.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult balance to play. Custom narrate. Okay, that's a custom function. I would leave it as is for now. Custom save functions. Again, custom functions. I'd just leave those ones as standard unless you need them. Dialogue bullet point image. Use Sprite to use as bullet point as feature. Oh, that's a
What's
new
that
thing.
mean?
So that's basically like, so like in your dialogue options menu, you can assign a sprite to be like the little image at the beginning of the topic.
Oh, okay. So that's new, is it?
Yeah, though I haven't used it for a couple of years, so that was definitely not in the last time I was here. Gap between dialogue options, we'll leave it as default for now, but yeah, basically it's makes it smaller or bigger. Number of dialogue options disabled. That's if you want bullet points. Intriguing. Oh, and numerical keys can select them. AGS has come a long way. Francisco was telling me
Sure.
that some of the things that I was saying that I had trouble with in AGS actually are now in there now. So my idea is that when I get to working out if I'm going to use this or Power Hoof for my own stuff, I'm going to make the same scene in both engines and then see which one performs better. Number dialogues options, again, that's if you're having bullet points, which we might. So we might be coming back here. Print dialogue options upwards. Have no idea what that means. Going to read up on that. Here we go. First dialogue option will be at the bottom. The last will be at the top.
So, okay.
Why?
So it's just the choices, right?
Yeah, I guess, like, what's it called? You could do it in that sense. I'm just trying to piece together why you would do that. And I think that would be, like, all your buys and all that. So you can code that in straight away. And then as topics build in, it will add those to the bottom. But they'll automatically rise to the top in the actual use of playing it in a game. Possibly? That's the only thing I can think of right now. I'm going to need someone to actually explain that to me that has done that before otherwise.
Interesting. Maybe Francisco.
Yeah, Francisco will be a good one, yes. Okay, run game loops when dialogue options are displayed. Oh, and you can do interesting things with that. Yeah, game animations. So game loops, loops are a thing in programming in general where, how do I explain it? So your game is constantly running, and it's constantly running its logic. A game loop, or sometimes they're called cycles, are basically the start and end of it. So they have a very particular time. It's been a while since I've used the AGS version, so my brain can't remember how long it takes. I think actually you can even tell it how long it's going to run for. But basically it's kind of like, this runs this many times in a second. Or maybe it runs once a second. It's been a while. By the time we get to coding, I will have reconfirmed that. But basically, the whole idea of this is kind of like, there is a overall global loop that is constantly running and checking on your logic. And if you've got things like, once this variable hits this, I want this thing to happen. Then it's basically checking, going, is this the time? Is this the time? Is this the time? Is this the time? It's the time! So, that's constantly going. Now, usually what happens, there are things called blocking events, and dialogue screens and talking in dialogues generally are a blocking event, which is basically this thing that is constantly running. Imagine like a whippet just continually trying to be like, is it treat time now? Is it treat time now? And then just like being stopped and being like, okay, I'm not going to ask about a treat right now because, yeah. And then once that blocking event's over, it picks up back up again. That is probably the weirdest way that I can explain that.
It makes sense though.
Yeah. So it's basically, this thing is just basically saying, do you want this to keep going while you're in a dialogue loop? You kind of have to, I think there will be something in there that'll be like, if this is the time that I can now run this special event that we've hit this thing, if you're in a current dialogue thing, it's going to be like, wait, hold up, mate. It's like, I'm glad the animation's still running, but hold up, mate. Okay, so we'll leave that as false because blocking events are fine for what we're doing for this. Sierra style portraits.
Left or right.
Okay. So you've got the options now of left or right alternate based on character position, which is always an interesting one if you ask me.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that one, actually. Speech style. LucasArts basically means you do not get a close-up of the person. They are basically talking in the room. So, like, you know, if you think about, like, when you think of, like, a Sierra game, you don't see, like, the character sprite of the character actually moving on the screen. You see it in a portrait box up on the side, which is where it's talking. The Sierra style, the LucasArts style, is you do see it talking on the sprite and you have no character portrait. There are some, you know, exceptions to that. Like, I mean, like, think of, like, Secret of Monkey Island talking to Cobb. You go into a close-up with him and you're actually in the close-up. So, yeah, we are going to go with Sierra with background. Because that'll be a fun thing to do. We will probably go through character portraits when we talk about dialogue, in terms of painting them and what things you might want to think about. Use game-wide speech animation delay. We're not going to care about that for this one. Use GUI for dialogue options. Okay, dialogue options can be drawn on a text window. Press 0 to draw at the bottom of the screen instead. Okay, so we'll come back to this when we come up to dialogue. So basically there are some options that we can do. And generally, if you don't know what you're talking about, what it's talking about, I mentioned... No, not this one, actually. This one. So this is the AGS manual. It basically goes through everything. This is the place that if you're looking for the question, you're probably got the answer here. Yeah, so it's got all those things up here. You'll find it through here somewhere. What you can also do as well is even just Google the prompt. So where is my prompt gone? Use GUI for dialogue options. Also, make sure you include AGS in that. Otherwise, you're just going to get random shit. Custom dialogue options rendering. Exactly what I'm looking for. Yes, it is a thing I'll have to read through and be like, what the fuck is this? But
it's there.
It's there, and by the time that you might think about doing something like that, this shit on the screen, apology coders, will actually make sense. At the moment, it does not, but it will.
Wait.
Yes. So that's dialogue. Display multiple icons for multiple items. Yeah, you know, if you've got the same item that has two different looks, yeah, you would do that. But again, for these games, probably be false. Inventory hotspot marker. That's basically a crosshair that actually tells you where the spot on the inventory item actually interacts with the hotspot. It is very important. You have some options. You can draw a crosshair or use a crosshair sprite, which basically means if you want it to look like a particular way, like a little star or something, it will use that instead.
Right.
Or you can have none and leave people confused about where the actual click point is. Now, if you are getting it to draw a crosshair, it's asking you what color you'd like it to be and what you'd like the middle of it to look. Override inventory window click handling. Leave it to true. Leave it to default. There's no problem with that unless you're trying to do something fancy. You selected inventory graphic for cursor. Yeah, actually, that's pretty good. So what most people really want is that if you pick up an inventory item, that it looks like the inventory item on your cursor.
Yeah.
The only time that I have used that, not actually used that in AGS, was I was doing a takeoff of Eagle Eyes Mysteries, and my inventory items were actually the facts. So I had massively altered the way this whole thing worked, and I didn't want you to be able to pick up the fact and then just be like, this doesn't actually work on anything. So that was the only instance where you didn't do that. I also I was basically saying if you've clicked on it, it now highlights. So I had entirely changed how that shit worked. But I didn't want it to pick it up, so that I actually used that option in that instance.
While I've got it in my brain, I'm going to quickly favorite that AGS manual.
Yes.
Bookmark it. Oh my god, I typed in AGS Manual. Alright.
There's your next game that you'll be making in Fungus. It's
Oh,
Ags Manual. He's trying to make an
it's
AGS game, and he's
and
failing.
it's Manuel from Faulty Towers.
Yes. Oh God.
Faulty Towers, the game, perfect.
Yeah. Room's default mask resolution 1:1. You don't want that changed unless you've got a reason to. And usually, if there's a reason to, you know why there's a reason to. So you'll know what you're doing there.
Okay.
Save games, enhanced save games. Okay, using oh, that's new.
Wow.
Whether to enable enhanced save games, where the user can double click on Explorer to start the game and load it. I like that.
Quick question: what version of AGS do you have?
I downloaded the one that's just current now, so this is the brand new one.
Is that 3.50?
Let's have a little peekaboo about AGS 3.50.
That's the one I have.
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right.
Well, that's
cool.
good because I told you to download it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I got the right one.
Yeah. Okay, so save game file extension if you want to name it something, especially if you're doing enhanced, so that it'll be like, like .degas. Because I'm pretty sure you will never have a file extension that is .degas. The folder name for it, degas name in Paris. Because I have to.
Yes.
Save screenshots and save games. It shouldn't really matter for this game because it's all happening in 1.5 rooms. I mean, technically it is a second room, but you're barely going to be in it, so I'm calling it 0.5. Play sound if player gets points. We will have sounds. We will be doing this because I think this will be a fun thing for this to do. But again, these are things that we'll be coming back to. I'm just kind of going through, basic setups in terms of, this is what you might be thinking about. Text, always display text to speech. Okay. Okay. So this is
like
in the
above their
instance.
head, or
No. So what this is saying is that when you would use default text for your narrator. So this is basically saying, who is your narrator? Do you have a separate narrator, or is your narrator your character?
gotcha.
So when we talk about think about I'm trying to think of a game. King's Quest V, that is a separate narrator from Graham. So you kind of have to write games differently that way, in the sense that you have this person that's actually kind of talking about your character or explaining things outside of your character's point of view, but also related to what they're looking at. It's a weird thing, but it's a well-known trope.
So
The other
Larry.
way, yes, Larry has a narrator. A lot of Sierra games have narrators. I'm trying to think of a Sierra game that doesn't have a narrator, like from the main set. No.
I can't think of one.
Maybe Pepper Pumpkinickle. And even then, that's
Code
like a
Name
weird...
Iceman? No, that's got a narrator too.
Yeah. No, I think technically Phantasmagoria. Phantasmagoria does not have a narrator because everything comes from Adrian's point of view. You're right, Dan. 100%.
Got it. And I guess Shivers.
Gold Star. Oh God, Shivers has nothing. Okay,
fucking doors.
Okay, so I'm going to say that there are 3 variants. You either have a narrator, or you have self-narrated, or you have nothing. Nothing is Mist. Nothing is Shivers. A lot of Mist likes have no narrators. Carol Reed has self-narration. Does that make Carol Reed better than Mist in that respect?
Let's not go nuts.
Look, I'm not saying it's a better play experience. I'm not saying it's a better story. I'm just saying, if we're talking about the game explaining itself to you...
Let's just wait until we go through Mist together before we make that determination. We've got 2 more Tex Murphy games and we're doing that, so get prepared.
Tex has a self-narration.
I love
100%.
Tex's narration.
Oh God, that's another thing. I like on the website that I'm working on. I should definitely have a thing where it's talking about different styles of narration. I need to write that down. Anyway, where are we up to? Yes, so always display text as speech. Do I want to have a narrator? I think, yeah, I'm going to have a narrator. True fonts. Oh, true fonts will be anti-aliased in the game, but there's a performance penalty. This game's going to be so small, it's not going to matter. So let's get some sweet anti-aliasing in here.
Hell yeah.
Custom text window GUI. If you want to have a a customized thing and not just the default, yeah, we'll do it. But at the moment, we'll just leave it as is. Same with thought bubbles if you want to think, because you can think. So this is the good thing about AGS: you can talk and you can think. They're separate. They know that they're different things.
That's cool. I like that.
I'm trying to think. No, I don't think. I don't think that is actually in Adventure Creator. I don't think you can think as well as talk. However, you can make it a custom feature, so you can always add it.
Possible.
Yes, okay. Things are possible. Right game text right to left. Okay, so if you're Hebrew, if you're typing in Hebrew, or in Yiddish, you can go the other way around. Right. Default transition, fade in and out. It's a good method. You've got instant, you've got dissolve, you can black box out, you can crossfade. GUI alpha rendering style. When using 32 images, which is something that you didn't have the last time I was here. Should GUIs be drawn in a new alpha method or backwards compatible method? Proper alpha blending sounds great to me. Do you know what an alpha blend is?
No.
Okay, so when you're looking at transparent pictures like PNGs or GIFs, the space that is transparent is called the alpha channel.
Right.
Where it's kind of a weird inverse, where it's kind of like, if it's... Wait, brain, which way is around, is it? Yes, if it's black, then it's not transparent. If it's white, it's transparent. It's the other way around. It's one of the two. Most cases, you don't really need to worry about it because stuff like Photoshop and Sprite takes care of that for you, but it's the theory of it. I think it's black, because black is saying that it's one, it's filled. White is saying it's empty. Yes, because it's what's it called. Masking works on a masking works in a similar situation where it's kind of like black hides, white reveals. Photoshop is weird. But the idea is that basically it's got a secret channel, it's got a secret layer that you can't see, and one color says this is shows and the other color says this is hidden.
Okay. Cool.
In the old days when I was doing 3ds Max at university, we actually had we had to render out the alpha channel by itself, which was literally a black and white image that told it what it was doing. These days, this is kind of like, it's built in. Don't worry about it.
Well, that's good.
Yes. Pixel perfect click detection. Ooh, how pixel bitchy do you want this to be? When the player clicks the mouse, a pixel-perfect check will be used to decide what they clicked on. If false, a simple rectangular check is used.
So for pixel hunting and whatnot.
Yeah, but it is that, but at the same time, there's no hurt if you leave it on and you've just got basic boxes. Hello, Elkia.
Hello, Elkia.
Sprite alpha rendering style, again, we're now in the 32-bit era. Leave it as proper alpha channel blending unless there's a reason to not do it. When player interface is disabled, GUI should... Okay, so this depends on, if a cutscene's playing and you have a GUI that you want, and a GUI, of course, is your UI. So it'd be like boxes, we'll get to that. But, basically, if there's anything that you want showing up in your screen, then you would set that to display normally. Or you can get it to, say, hide all the controls or hide everything or be hidden or, be there but grey everything out. Windows Game Explorer. This is just stuff about you and when you've released it, if you're releasing it. And the Windows Experience... Oh, okay. Experience Index.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That was on Vista, right? When they used to score your PC like a 3.5 and stuff.
Yeah, I loved that. I loved because I always got a high score and I loved
Me
it.
too. Why did they get rid of that?
That is a good question. Maybe because like technology moved on from there and those old scores meant nothing anymore. That might be it. Okay, so that is all our general settings. Here's default setup. Okay, so that's just basically digital audio, enable threaded audio, MIDI sound if you want to use it, use voice pack if available. Yeah, sure. Yeah. You know, pretty self-explanatory what stuff that's here, graphics.
Yeah.
You know, stuff that you probably don't really want to play with unless you have a reason to. Which is pretty much the same thing as general settings, but you are more likely to go through that and be like, no, I do want this to do with this, and I don't want that to do that, rather than come back later and then be like, oh, I can change that. Cache signs and spin. Yep, mouse cursor speed. Sounds good to me. Ooh, I like that there has auto lock window to window, because you can say, you know, kind of like DOSBox where it kind of keeps your mouse cursor in there.
Yeah.
So it depends on what type of game you're trying to play. If you're playing something where it's kind of like panning around with where your mouse cursor is, you do want that mouse cursor in your window. But
Otherwise, it's like
otherwise,
right?
just leave it out, because like what's it called? People that are doing let's plays as well of your game, if they're doing that, I can tell you as someone who's done a lot of capturing of games, I love being able to take my mouse cursor out of the main screen that I'm capturing, so no one can see it if it's like, you know. So then it's kind of like it's not getting in the way of shit, unless you're doing a really fun mouse cursor, like, you know, like say like King's Quest 6 with the crown, and you can put the crown on people. That's the only reason why you'd really want to lock yourself in.
Yeah.
I mean, again, if you're doing some sort of like the camera follows your mouse pan, which I had done in one of the games that I was trying, you would want to lock that in, because if you go outside of those bounds, it's just going to go crazy. Especially because mine was like a 360 loop room, and I made things really sick really quickly. Now, they do have this thing where it's like color palettes, like what colors you want to bring in there. We will go into that in more detail later. But again, that's for 8-bit graphics these days. You don't really need to worry about it. It's still here, but don't really worry about it. Now, sprites. Welcome to the wonderful world of sprites. We want to have... Oh, look, so they've given us a character to start with. Not that we have a room yet, but this is our default player character until we're ready to change him.
Cool.
They've given it to us. So, the question is, because technically...
That won't be the right size either.
It won't be the right size, because the...
Oh. Well, it seems
Hang on.
like it's getting further than
different
last
size.
time.
If you import bar charge. Yeah.
Look at that. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, and I can zooms. Okay, so welcome to our beautiful room. We do know that our resolution is yada da. Room 1. This is room 1. That's fine. State saying true. Bottom edge. Now, when it comes to stuff like bottom edge, that's like kind of like, where's the end of your screen? Actually, it's been a while since I've looked at edges. Left edge, right edge. Just leave it as is for the moment until we hit play. Masking resolution 1:1. Background animation delay. Well, we're not going to have an animated background. Or we might not. We might later, but yeah. Legacy music volume, fine. Character view, fine. True. Now, we need to do shit in here. Hello, we need to do shit in here. Is it in here?
This isn't a bathroom. Cut that out, Future Assaulter, please.
Leave it in. Properties. No, that's fine. Again, it's been a long time since I've been in here. This is great. This is why we do this as a stream. I need to declare where my character is actually going to start and where he can walk around. And it has been a long time since I've done that. Because edit this room. That's what I'm looking for.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, Google. Okay, So I got confused because it used to be like a drop down thing, and now it just says room ...
It's dots, right?
Yeah. So in the dots here we have edges.
Google, pipe down.
Yeah, Google, chill. Just on edges, but we can ignore that for now. Characters. Hey,
There we
there's our
go.
buddy. Look how small and cute he is. I'm just going to put him here for the moment because I really still need to do walkable areas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so walkable areas are where your character can walk around.
Mm-hmm.
Where
We just
is...
paint that. Is that how it works?
Yes. Thank you. Again, it's been a while since I've been here, so my brain just kind of went, what
Oh no,
actually
you're
can
right. I was legitimately asking. I had no
Yeah.
idea. Oh, okay. I see up the
Up
top
the top
now.
here, yeah.
Gotcha. I see where you are.
So, I'm
Okay.
trying to make a mask. Why am I currently using the eraser? What did it say? Hang on. You're currently using the eraser to draw new tools.
Properties
Change the selection in the list.
in the properties pane.
So this is the properties pane here.
Okay.
And so, apparently I have a whole heap of different walkable areas. Area specific food.
Weird.
Use the eraser.
Oh wait, is it up the top there where it says walkable areas ... eraser?
Possibly. Yes. I would say so. Why is this locked? Is the next question. Why is it? Ah, okay. See, there's lock and unlocks.
Ah, look
Okay.
at that.
So edges.
Mm-hmm.
Your edges are like define how far the character needs to walk to leave a room. That doesn't necessarily mean that they will leave the room on that, but it's kind of like you kind of want this top edge to be here where the bottom of the back of your room is. You want your left one, well, as far as it can go.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom edge as far as it can leave. Yep, sounds good to me. What we've got there. Let us move back to walkable areas. Still using the razor. Walkable area 1. Now, you see how that had a lock next to it? If I click on that again, it becomes unlocked. Excellent.
Elementary.
Yes. And then you just start drawing where you want your character to be able to walk.
Okay. So is that like the exact path that the character... So it won't be able to go down like underneath that line, for example? Or is this like
no,
the out...
This is where you can walk. So I'm basically setting it up so that he can... I'm going to do a walk behind as well. Fancy shit. So to begin with, he will walk over this table.
Okay.
But this is just basically where he can walk, where he won't be crashing into other people.
Mm.
So he's going to walk behind these ladies down the front here. And I don't want him to run into the into that. But I give him space to walk over here. That's all filled there. I'm now going to pick up my paint bucket. Why did that fill everything up? Go down this paint tool.
We're not having good luck with paint, are we?
It's just that there's gaps. So you can always zoom into it and patch your gaps up.
Right. Oh, man. Yeah, you can't see it unless you zoomed right in.
Yeah.
It just looks like a line.
And it doesn't help that I've also drawn into some black lines as well. Well, shucks. Shucks, folks. Shucks. Oh, there's also a rectangle tool.
Oh, well, that works.
And just, what's it called?
And that's the same walkable area, so overlapping doesn't even matter, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
I'm vaguely trying to follow the boxes that I made.
Yeah.
You know, if Francisco checks in at this at the moment, he's just going to be like, do you remember how to use this program? Be like, not really, no. I thought I remembered more what I did than I didn't.
It'll be like last time when he came in with his little pipe. My advice: don't.
Darn.
God,
Oh god, yeah,
was funny.
that was the
That was
best
so
moment
good.
of the old Joy of Adventure. Anyway, so technically we are now inside that walkable space. Do I really need to think about anything else right now? Hotspots, no, because we're not going to do interactions right now. Regions, no. You know what? You know what? We're just going to play with very tiny Roger in there.
Love it.
Just run. Here's the gas man. Here is tiny little Roger.
Oh,
So-
I'm waiting for it. Oh, there it is. Oh my god.
He is.
Look at him go.
He's very tiny. I
I'm
kind of
just
now
watching
want
on the
him.
stream because
I
past
now,
sex.
yeah, I now kind of want the gas man to be a short man, a very short man.
Oh, you
because
could
of
Larry
this.
him. You can make him like Larry. He's shorter
Well,
than
I
everyone
was,
else.
yeah, I was kind of thinking a smaller body with a bigger head, but I was kind of thinking like long legs. But I don't know. There are thoughts to consider. All right. I think for this week, what we'll move on to Sprite so we can do a more nicer art for this background,
Cool.
and maybe we can paint Edgar. Actually, maybe that's what we'll do next. We'll do a paint of Edgar. But for this week, we have set up our initial project. We haven't done much in there. We have made a background. So your homework for this week, although hopefully you might move on to the next step of doing a slightly nicer background art. Again, we probably could do more in terms of what's happening in AGS, but I just thought it's fun to do some fun things. So
Yeah.
we have done some work. We're going to do some fun. Next week, we're going to do more work and some more fun.
Love it.
Got to give you a little bit of each. So, homework for this week. If you haven't done your homework from last week, that's fine. Again, really just needs to
Detention.
be that just needs to be.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. It just needed to be brief, just so that you kind of knew what you wanted in your scene before you started drawing placeholders. And that's something that, you might add to it if you're making a very big game or, a game that keeps branching off. But for just a little thing like this, then, just have everything ready to start with. It's short, it's sweet. You already know you have everything. You don't have to come back later and go, I'm missing this. So, for this week, I would like you to do your placeholder art, which is your background, and a very brief drawing of your dude, or your dudette, or your friend.
Okay.
I don't know who your protagonist is. I got a dude. He's going to be a very angsty dude, because he's an artist. He's Edgar Degas. So that's your homework. You're going to do your background. You're going to do your very start. Because again, next week, we are actually going to do more on this room setup. We are going to do things such as... What am I going to tell you that we're going to do? We are going to do some descriptions of what you can look at in this room. We are going to do some more fine-tuning on walk-behinds, because we currently don't have a walk-behind, but we will have a walk-behind next week of, obviously, stuff like this table, because he can... Well, for one thing, we're going to do character scale. We're going to fix this shit, because he does not need to be this small, but
he's very tiny.
I know how to do this straight away in Adventure Creator, because I have been using that for the past 5 years, but it is fixable here. It is also hilarious here. If you also want to do some slightly nicer placeholders for people you can talk to, just so that you're not just got blobs. We're about to go into a Sprite, so we'll start talking about layers. Layers make things very easy.
So with these characters, is it just you got the blobs, but should I just do like a circle for the head and the body or something?
Stick figures are fine. It's more about knowing where they are, so that then when we start doing stuff like interactables, that you have something to click on.
Okay.
I know that, again, I'm sorry that we didn't get quite as far as I hoped we would.
Love it.
But yes, we shall shut down AGS for this week.
All right.
Have
So
you
I've got to
backed
do.
up recently, says AGS. We've literally
Remember,
just...
power failures happen.
Yeah, we literally just started, mate. Okay, Sprite. 350 is the height of the back wall ish. It's not 100%, it's ish. So for that instance, that wall, would be that the height of that room would be generally 250 centimeters, because your door is generally 200 centimeters. Because that's the standard of heights of doors. So, and generally there's another 50 above there. Now, if you've got a high roof room, that can go up to 300. And then, if you've got an insanely crazy room, then yeah, it goes higher than that. But, your general standard room is 250 up, maybe 300. I want it to be roughly 80% of that. And that is where my brain just packs in. Okay, and that's when I just open up. There's a website called percentagecalculator.com.
I use that all the time.
I
Don't
know.
worry.
Yeah. 80% of 350. I want my character's height is 280. No, that's not the width. 280. Although I don't know really about my side dimensions yet. I'm going to crush that down, so I'm just going to make it a square. I do want it to be transparent. RGB is great. So this is the place that we get to work within. Now, I'm going to grab that picture of Edgar Degas and bring it in here. So he is now in a separate thing. That's fine. I don't want to use the full thing. I just want his head.
Yep.
And I want to play with that head a little bit. But we're going to come back into here. I'm going to do a little bit of... No, I want to keep that... Yeah. I want to keep you slim, baby. But you need to be a bit smaller. But I need you to be slimmer.
So is this how you're making your character?
Yes. So I don't want him to be perfectly like that. But, it's going to be great for me just to have him... So, like you see here, we have layers. Oh, my head is in the way. You see here, we have layer 1. We can have extra layers. I'm going to make an extra layer now. So this will be layer 2.
Yep.
Come back in. Just assume that that's there. And now I can actually paint in the layer above. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually, because this is where I feel comfortable, I have a pen tablet screen.
Yeah, I wanted one of those.
Yeah. Mystery benefactor who gave this to me last year. I still love you. I don't know who you are. You never came forward. I'm using
Love
it.
to know who that is.
Yeah, don't we all? So, my lovely little pen tablet. We are just going to draw on... Yes, Gabriel, you have your food on the ground. So, I'm just going to draw like body dimension at the moment. Just a real basic one. I'm going to do this in a different color. So that, because again, these are guidelines. So, I do want to keep his head about this size, but I'm going to make his head kind of come in and be like skinny like a hipster boy. And then this whole thing is his torso. And I wanted him to have long gangly legs. Again, these are just sketches at the moment, so if you're not worrying, if you're like, blah, 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 blah.
Sorry. I just looked up and saw like the little shoe that he's got.
Yeah.
I love it. It's got little clogs on.
Ta-da! Now, the good thing about this being on a separate layer is that you can move it around to where you think that it would actually work better for your little... I do want him to have a neck. So that you can move it around and change his dimensions slightly. Yeah, straight up like that. Now, we're going to do another new layer that is actually going to be kind of more of the actual lines that we wanted. New layer. On top. And now we're going to move to black. And I'm going to come in on these sweet, sweet bloody eyes. And just basically, I'm just going to trace his nose, because his nose is the important thing to me. Do you think he should be beardy boy or not beardy boy?
I like the beard.
Yeah. Okay, I'll make him beardy boy then. I do quite like some, like, so this is where it's kind of like, you go with the artistic way of kind of like, you find some lines that you're looking for. No one can say that you fully copied him, but again, once you're done with this bit, you can actually always grab bits of it and redo some dimensions of things. But you just, like, especially if you don't know how to draw very well, you just kind of want to get a sense of, some things, so then you can then, like, look at that. So far,
Beautiful.
you can't say that that's Degas, but there's something there that looks like a person. And yes, I am essentially showing you guys how to do paintovers. You can do this with character sprites from actual games, but it's really obvious when you do. Case in point, Hopkins FBI. That is George Stobart's character sprite painted over.
Yeah.
Like, quite...
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Quite obliquely. So, maybe don't. Like, again, like, as much as, yes, I am copying him, by the time this game comes out, he will probably look very different, because I will probably have gotten to him with a warp tool and exaggerated things. But your initial thing, you kind of do. You kind of wanted it to look like a person. To piss off. Bye-bye.
Oh, look at that.
That's a little... Look at him!
The soul patch looks great, actually. Look at that.
Questions you never thought that... no, questions are words you thought you'd never say.
Yeah. When I woke up this morning, didn't think I'd be saying that tonight.
Yeah, what I'm just doing is I'm grabbing this and bringing it underneath so I can paint underneath my lines without disrupting everything.
Amazing.
And that is how your art works. Now, you've always got the choice of putting the whites in his eyes. I don't know if I'm going to bother. It can look very off-putting and take you out of the experience.
Yeah. I can see that. I'm picturing it now.
And I'm also going to come back and give him some shadow behind his eyes. See, and you know what, Dave? With this method, you can draw too.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that now. I'm thinking about what to Google later to get a nice little character model going.
Yeah. And this is just the shallows of his cheek. Doing. Okay, now it is time to move on to his body. Let's give this creepo a head. I mean, he already has a head, but I'm going to do a new layer. I'm going to put it underneath the head layer. So what I'm doing here is that so that I can, when it comes to animation, it's kind of going to make it easier if parts of his body isn't attached to the rest of him, so that if I need to, like, if he's in like a pose where like his arm is down and his arm is separate from his body, I can control the arm separately without disrupting the rest of the art.
Righto, like it.
So I'm going to do his neck and torso and groin region as one sprite. So this is the only thing with this particular pen display. The pen charge runs out every now and then, so I have to recharge this before I can keep drawing with that. So unfortunately, we will be doing the rest with. We've done the important stuff that I wanted to do with the drawing thing, but we can do the rest just with.
Oh, this has been good. I'm inspired now.
It's a black bow tie, so that is fine.
So should I be looking for like paintings like your one, or would like a photograph do as well?
Photographs do as well. Like what's it called? Once when I first, and like what's it called? You don't have to do it just for this. If you want to just like practice, painting heads.
Yeah, I might do that.
Then you just grab photo. Like you could even do yourself, or
Myself might work because I just typed into Google unshaven tired man. So myself might work. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at right now.
That's where we're at. That's where we're at in our lives. And yeah, so like if you want to do this method and you want to have more dimensional humans, then yeah, you can follow their body shape as well as this. I'm kind of going for the cartoony looks. I am. That's the reason why we've got the weird body underneath the gigantic head. But again, we are going to do like different things that you can do with stuff. Like I was thinking the next time that we're doing characters, we could actually load them up as 3D characters from like a free program, because there's what's it called, Mixamo. There's free characters that you like 3D characters, and then we take that into Blender, and then paint over in Blender and make our own sprites there. Blender is free, by the way. Hello, you. Hi. 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 Now, the interesting thing is that when I come to here, I'm actually gonna, as much as I've drawn these leg ends, I'm actually gonna get rid of the black line here, because I want my legs to connect to these sections. So I'm gonna leave this groin area because that's where his groin is always gonna be, but his legs are gonna be free from here. Think of it like a Ken doll. A creepy, creepy Ken doll. Yeah, so if you don't have Sprite and you wanna do some spriting, because as you can see, it is a fun and easy program that is very easy to use for all the girls and boys and bald-headed babies. It costs about $10. That is a sweet deal.
Yeah, honestly, I've had it for ages. And I've only opened it up a couple of times, and every time I do, I'm like, I get overwhelmed because I'm like, well, I can't draw. What am I going to do? But now that I've watched this, all the gears are moving.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about art. There's no true one way.
Yeah.
Even if you feel like it looks like shit, like at the same time, it's like you've done a thing. So I used to have this friend in high school, who. I would go ahead and draw a thing. It might look weird and funky. I did some pretty weird art back then, and I still do weird art every now and then. But she would look at this thing, and she'd be like, "Why would you even bother? I draw better than you." And I'd just be like, "But you're not doing a thing with it." Like, she wanted to be a doctor. She didn't end up being a doctor, but she wanted to be a doctor. And it was like, "But I want to do stuff in animation, so I'm going to keep drawing." It doesn't matter that you draw better than me. You don't want to do that thing. I do. So, yes. Is this the best art you've ever seen? Probably not. But we have made a thing.
The jacket, I love the color you picked there. It's very TV movie Doctor Who. I love it.
Now, unlike the trousers,
sorry. Go
on. Even with that, with the trousers, how I left these blank bits, I'm not doing that with the arms, because if we move the arms in a certain way, then I still want these curves to be like, because this is the back, you know, because the back is more defined. What do you reckon? What do you reckon about? No, you think orange pants would be too much with a green jacket?
It depends if you can put stripes on them.
I mean, I could, but that means a lot of extra work.
Yeah.
What about purple pants?
Purple pants. I'm digging the purple pants idea.
He is
Not against it.
definitely. He is definitely some sort of crazy hipster indeed. This world, crazy world that we live in. It's a bit Joker-esque, unfortunately, but
Hey, I like it. I'm liking what I'm saying. Maybe he's just seen the Joker.
oh yeah. But you know what?
And
The Victorians and all that. I mean, is he a Victorian or is he? Either way, the Victorians and people in general back then, they weren't afraid of color. They celebrated color.
yeah, they did. That's true.
So we're the weird ones to be like, like, no, you must like kind of go like with more sedate colors. Go with blacks, especially like when you look at period pieces and everyone is in browns and blacks, because, yeah, sure, that maybe that was the cheaper thing, but everyone loved color.
Tell you what, I'm not afraid of color today. Somehow I left the house, went to work with a blue Hawaiian shirt and blue jeans.
Nice.
So,
That is some fine work you've done there, son.
I know.
I bet they loved you at work today. They were like, oh, Davo's good quality.
They didn't. Oh my god, look at that little neck. Fucking hell.
I'm an artist.
Oh, it's so good.
Okay.
His head would collapse. Love it.
Yeah, so I need to. This is going to be my leg layers. These are now Air Jordans.
Amazing.
Well, I worked out it's like 1992, because that's the year Men Are From Mars, Women Were From Venus came out.
We both went 90s. Where was mine? 94 in Miami, Queensland.
Yeah, and I love that we've both kind of done the same thing of like, famous landmark places, but not in the place that people are thinking of.
Oh, Miami, Queensland. Imagine winning tickets to Miami and then you find out it's Miami, Queensland.
Yeah. Oh, you'd be fucking devastated. Okay, now here's a nice little nifty trick. So this is this layer. I'm actually gonna duplicate this layer. Put this behind, and use my move tool. Move my leg over here.
Look at that.
I am going to do some editing for the top bit, obviously, for this thing to fit in here.
I like that though.
But it's a way of
that is nifty.
Saving some of your effort. So next week when we come back to AGS, we will be importing this dude as our we'll be doing it first as an idle character. So he won't have a walk sprite. He's just going to basically slide around places. But if anyone saw briefly when I had it up, to do a walk cycle is pretty... where'd my mouse go? Here it is. You just type in basic walk cycle, go to images. They basically show you what... you get the more proper, this is how it should go. Head up, head down. But really, what you kind of want for these sort of things, especially for AGS games and all that, is you just really want to see what the positions of the legs are. Yeah. It would be great if you really want to bring in all this head moving up and down, but you'll find most people that are doing walk cycles for adventure games, especially if they're quick and dirty, they are just after the position of the arms and the position of the legs.
Okay.
But we'll actually draw one next week, so
don't know if I'm going to have a little character as good as this next week.
You might surprise yourself.
I'll do my best. I'm very keen to try it out. Very keen to like get in there and fiddle around with it.
I love him.
He's magnificent. Look at him.
He's amazing.
Magnificent.
Oh, I'm so happy with him. All right. Let's bring this layer up higher because this is going to be our arm that's going to be over the top of a whole heap of things. Where's the torso? That's the head. That's, yeah, so I need it over layer 5. Excellent. We are doing reasonably well considering we have said goodbye to my drawing pen for a while now. And I will get that recharged up because I think the last time I charged it was 3 weeks ago. So the charges last quite a while. It's just, it always takes me by surprise when it runs out. Because my last tablet display, the pen just always worked. But it was a smaller thing. It was like the screen was about this big. This is like... Like, you know, like almost double the size of the old one. So, it's a biggie.
Wow.
Just trying to think where the...
So is this a long sleeve jacket or a vest?
Oh, that is a good question. What do you reckon? Do you reckon, or capri length sleeves? Which means that they're 3/4 sleeves, and then there's a little bit of his white sleeve shirt underneath.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
It's such a horrible, horrible thing.
Yeah.
You can actually lock these. There's little locks. I know that my head's kind of in the way, but you can kind of see behind my head what I'm talking about.
It's probably not really necessary, but I thought I'd ask. Is there a way to name the layers?
Yes, and if you double click on them, you can say...
Okay, cool. Jabooey.
No.
Booey.
Actually, when it comes to, especially for Power Hoof, but, you know, like later on when we want to start moving, you know, the parts around, it is really helpful to name them. But at the moment, especially because we have we've got line work and we've got color work. And once we're done with our basic parts, you kind of want to bring your line work in with your line work. Your line work in with your line work. You want your line work and your color layer for that body part to be on the one layer. And so you actually merge them down into each other. So it's kind of like, at the moment, you're really just painting around, splashing it around. So you're just trying to get your shape, and then we'll mat it down. Lovely. Excellent. So that is the portfolio. Since that is all on one layer, I am just going to call that portfolio on the actual item itself because it's already together. I will come back later and crush those things. Actually, we could probably do that with the head right now. So, to show you what I mean. So generally you click, I think you click on this layer and merge down. So now the head is all on that one layer. And the reason why you kind of want those separated is so you can come here to like your move tool and hit Control T and then it would help. No, you can scale him, but you can also rotate him.
Oh, that's horrific. Oh no.
But you might need to have a slightly different jaunty head tint. Boop doop doop doop. Like, I mean, probably nothing that extreme. And then hit enter to...
I'm here for a table.
Hello, I would like a table, please. And again.
Question as well, now that we've
Yep.
done all of this,
Yes.
does a sprite auto-save? Or should we save this in case of...
I would save it, yes. So,
Yeah.
oh look, we're in a different category. Oh look, Bulby's here!
Oh god.
For some
I
reason,
can't.
I put Bulby in Lammas Night. In an old version of
Infiltrating
Lammas
everything.
Night. Yeah. That's the reason why Lammas Night never happened. Oh, this is an old game dev folder.
And
Oh, this is
Bulby
on
came
Grace,
in
that's
and ruined
why.
everything.
We want Gerda. Game dev. I'm just going to call this Edgar Idle. Now, the moment that I hit this, there's this thing here. I can actually lift that up to the point that I want it to rotate from.
Oh,
Why is that? It's the pivot point, but I don't know why it's... hang on. Transparent. Rotation pivot. Top. I want it to be top middle because that's where it kind of should. Actually, look, it says display pivot by default. I always want it there. There, look.
there we go.
Da 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 da.
So that's how you do your walk cycle then, huh?
Yes, although technically, as you can see, that's just the full leg. So you could also do like, you know, because I did it by the crotch, but I would also probably do another one where it's the knee. So they would have a little bit of overlap between each other so that you had the knee separately. Now, there are programs out there. I don't know if you can do it with a Sprite, but when you're doing like a 3D character, it's called boning. You put bones in it that kind of control where it bends from. Yep. There are certain programs that allow you to do boning for 2D characters. So you can actually bone things. So it's kind of like, in the instance of this one, if we had the instance where the knee was also separated, moving his hip joint up will leave his leg behind.
Right.
And in the boning instance was the moment that leg tilts up, that the knee and the foot and all that would follow, but from that point I would be able to turn it so it would bend from that point. Flesh hand. Ah! Because I didn't patch the hole at the bottom of the So if you're going to use your paint bucket, make sure you patch your holes.
Look at him. Look at him.
So this is the character that we have created tonight.
Oh man, he's never done a chin up in his fucking life, has he?
No, but he's got a magnificently strong chin compared to his body.
Yeah, you could crush empty cans with that chin.
Oh god, yeah. You know what? I am going to get the same brown that's in his hair. So for the cheap seats, the homework. Do some placeholder art. Make a character placeholder. Make a background placeholder. Get it in AGS. Have a look at your general settings in AGS. See if there's anything that screams out at you that you want to change. If you feel fancy, make a idle sprite for your character, which is just looking forward and just being like, hey.
So should I get the same kind of see how he's looking forward but like at an angle? Or should I?
Yeah, I think that's best, but you can get him just to look just straight forward down. But like, you know, the character portrait that I picked up that I quite liked was at a 3/4 thing, and I quite like that because then it's kind of like, say for example, your character decides to walk left from that or walk forward from that. He is at the perfect angle.
That's what I'm thinking, right? Because
technically he's at the perfect angle to walk right as well, because your brain's just going to flip him over in its mind and don't worry about it.
Yeah, and if you do it full on, like straight on, we'd have to do like sideways sprites, huh?
I mean, we're going to have to do sideways sprites when he's walking, but I think this is a good way for idle animations because it doesn't matter if he was walking left or right the last time. He's now doing this.
All right, I'll have to have a look. Because I found one dude that I like the look of, but he's looking straight forward.
I mean, straightforward can work. It's just very intense.
Yeah.
It's a mood.
Nah, we don't want that mood. I'll have a look. I only spent like a second looking before. That's it.
Yeah.
I'll look properly.
Well, you got a whole week to look.
Yeah.
Gonna use this to crop his size.
Yep.
Because we don't need all of him. Like now, if you were gonna do like a full animation with him, then yeah, you do kind of want the size to work out how like how big it all needs to be. But this is just a sprite where he's kind of just hanging out. Crop him, beautiful. Edgar, this is Edgar.
Edgar is magnificent.
Yes.
Honestly, look at him. Just take him in.
Yeah. Now here's the real Edgar, and here's our Edgar. Now you can see the similarities of some of it, but
it's a different. It looks like a different guy. It does.
I mean, like for one thing, I've given him some sweet hair licks. I've made his beard a different color to his hair. I've given him a longer beard.
Amazing.
And
just amazing.
Because of that accidental committing of the the tilt of his head, he's now got a squidge eye, where he's like, "Hi." But this is our Edgar, and we're going to end up the stream here. Be back again next week on Joy of Adventure to continue on with our trek, and hopefully get further in the actual AGS project next time. But we'll also be doing walk cycles properly.
I'm keen. I'm bloody keen.
I will have that background done nicer, and we can have a look at it.